Hey guys, I'm back and I am in the front end of Patriot Arms and Coatings. So this is the family shop. This is my father-in-law's shop. Some of the products behind me. I figured some of you gun guys would enjoy that. In the future, I'm going to be spending a lot of time here. You're going to see, and I've kind of put a little bit of this place up previously. Between this video and a following video, you're going to see a lot of what goes on here. In a lot of videos, you're going to see a lot of what goes on here. They do some amazing work here, and I'm going to be doing more and more work here in the shop with Darren, my father-in-law, with Max, my my grandfather-in-law, I guess you call him, with just all sorts of stuff that, man, there's just so much that goes on here. And you know, I'm going to do a little Q&A with my father-in-law, Darren, too, because he is a retired Bucks County, Pennsylvania SWAT sniper, which is really awesome. He's also, you know, in the Navy. He was I'm going to screw this up. My cousin Pete watches the channel, and Pete is a Navy CB. So Pete, you call me out on this if I'm wrong, but a master at arms or something like that, you know. Of course, I could just go in the back shop and ask him, but he's busy doing work. You know, Darren right now. But guy basically telepathically mind links with weapons and fixes them and creates them and builds them and does all sorts of stuff. So we're going to do more of what goes on here as we go, because you're going to see me do a lot of work here. What we're here for right now is Q&A edition 4 for January 2018. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year to you guys. And an update on the big grand giveaway contest, which we'll do right after the Q&A, because it's a short Q&A. So enjoy looking at some of the fanciness behind. In the next video, you can expect to see some close-ups of some of the cool things that go boom, boom, bang, bang, and some more shop updates and stuff. But let's jump into this Q&A stuff so then we can get to the contest update. How's that? So our first question. Boy, is this a great question. And I'm going to read this to you exactly as it's written, okay? Because this is fucking phenomenal. Okay. And you know what? I almost want to... This is straight, like, I'm not making this up. This is really exactly how it's written. I forgot my hat. I said I was going to wear the hat. I got a haircut, but I forgot to wear the hat. I'm sorry. You're a duck-in liar. That's what it says. Duck-in liar. You claim that you were a medic, but you have picture holding a gun, and you talk about being issued gun. Medics are illegal to carry guns. Try to keep your shitty story straight, asshole, fucking stolen valor, mother ducker. I apologize for the bad language. That is what was written. With no name, and you know, nobody wanted to claim that one, and of course I'm not going to give you the guy's email address. So, all right, where do we start on that one? So, dear Mr., I have no idea what the Geneva Convention actually says, and I didn't bother to do any research whatsoever before writing the stupid question. A duck-in liar. Awesome. So, let's sort this out. Number one, if you were to look up the Geneva Convention, you would find out that medics are, in fact, allowed to carry weapons for their personal defense and the defense of their patients. And they are allowed to carry weapons up to small arms, up to but not including crew-served weapons, so like light machine guns and stuff like that. So anything that a medic can carry, load, and operate single person on their own, they can carry. You'll also find a section that talks about whether or not they are claiming Red Cross protection under the Geneva Convention. You moron. When I was a medic, I did not, if you noticed in none of those pictures that I've ever shown on the channel, did you see me wearing a Red Cross brassard armband anywhere? Because medics on the line in like combat units don't do that. Now there's different medics that work at different levels that wear the Red Cross because they are it's just sort of, it's a differentiation. It's you know, when you work in a hospital setting or you are in a medical evacuation unit, you are not part of a combat unit. Your whole job is to retrieve a casualty and treat them at a higher level of care. When you are part of a line unit, when you are assigned to a combat arms unit, we had this motto that you learn. It's ingrained in your head all the way back at Fort Sam Houston. In back in the day, I don't know if it still is, but it was the 232nd Medical Battalion, which is where you go through medic school. And you would always call out soldier medic to remind you you're a soldier first, but you're a medic second. So yes, I was a medic, but I was a soldier first. And you know what? Sometimes the best way to treat your wounded soldiers is to kill the son of a bitch who's trying to wound them in the first place. So when I was a medic, I carried an M16, I carried an M9 handgun, I carried an M203. Guess what? M203 is iffy. But I also never claimed Red Cross protection because I chose, my commanders allowed me to function as a rifle on the line, as one of those soldiers, as part of the unit, to accomplish our mission. Now, I would never touch a machine gun that require a crew-served weapon, so something that requires a gunner and an A-gunner, an assistant gunner, something that basically, if it requires a bipod or a tripod, I never touched it. If it required a belt to feed, because typically if you have a belt-fed weapon, you have an assistant gunner that carries more ammunition and helps feed that. So that's how I obeyed the Geneva Convention. But I also never fell under the Geneva Convention Red Cross protection. I never claimed that, because guess what? Number one, we're the only idiots that follow the Geneva Convention anyway. And do you know what snipers aim for? Top 3 priorities that our enemies aim for: commanders, radio operators, and medics. So that Red Cross is just, they're going to aim straight for the center of that thing anyway. So for Mr. You have no idea what you're talking about, that's why you saw me in pictures as a medic with a gun. Call me a duck-in liar all you want, but that's the reality of the situation. Only a fool goes out with it. Now World War II was a different situation. You see World War II movies where the medics don't carry weapons. Korea and Vietnam changed things dramatically, because that's when the bad guys realized if you kill the medic, not only is that a huge morale hit for the unit, but then who takes care of all the wounded guys? And that's when medics realized, I better start protecting myself and defending those casualties around me. So modern medics carry guns. All right, so now that we've covered duck-in liars, next question. Do you have any regrets about your military career? If you do, what is the biggest regret? Regrets about my military career. Good question. I don't really have regrets about my military career. I guess not really. This could tie into another question that we have coming up, but I'll keep them separate. I've missed a lot of family time. I've missed first birthdays, first Christmas, first steps and stuff with the boys, and I regret missing that. But I don't regret my military career, because I've accomplished awesome things. I've been part of awesome things. I believe that, I believe that everybody should, I really do think that everybody should play a part in serving somehow. You don't have to join the military, but do something to serve the community somehow, So I get the answer is, I regret certain aspects, but I don't regret my military career. There's certainly, I could have played the game better. I could have progressed farther had I kept my big mouth shut sometimes and gotten with the program and played the game according to the game's rules. There are some times where I thought that I would speak out when I thought things were stupid or pointless. And you know what? The thing is, the military is a system, and if you buck this system, the system's going to buck back. And I have spent too much time bucking the system because I thought it was the right thing to do. Maybe, and believe me, when you're in the military, anybody that serves will tell you, there's a big difference between being correct and being right. There are some times where I felt like I was correct, but I wasn't right. And if you don't understand that, I can't really explain it. You have to be, so there's a lot of stuff you do in the military because they tell you to do it and it doesn't necessarily make sense. You just have to do it. You can fight it tooth and nail. You're not going to win. And so I could have progressed farther had I played the game better. The political sort of do what they say because they say it, whether it makes sense or not. What, sir? What? Is that good? Okay. So I do sort of regret not taking a job that has a better civilian equivalent. in the military, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. That's a good question. Thank you. Next question. Oh man, this one's heavy. Heavy questions this time. Hey Doc, I love your channel, I love what you do, and I hope this question does not offend you. If you have to start off with that, so an officer told me once, anytime you feel the need to start a sentence or a question with, sir, with all due respect, you probably shouldn't even finish it. But anyway, I've read that a lot of folks in the military have mental health issues and that there's a lot of long-lasting effects when you get out of the military. If this is too much or too personal, I understand, but I'm just wondering if you have any personal experience with that, and if you'd like to share, can you shed any light on the mental health effects of a long career in the military? How do you handle it? That's a whole separate video, dude. I will answer that question. It's more than just a blurb and a Q&A question. It's a good question. It is a serious question. It is something that needs to be talked about. I'm not blowing off your question. I will answer that in a separate video. Thank you for giving the opportunity, though.
Okay.
This is a question somebody asked me. Now we're moving on. This is a good one. Do you support our great empire or those terrorist rebel scum? Let me answer this. Okay, so let me answer this question by telling a story. So set the Wayback Machine to 2010, Iraq, Balad Air Base, which was actually, it's not a FOB, it's a pretty big base, but it's it was for a long time the #1 most attacked base in all of Iraq, with Camp Victory being right behind it. So it's not a very safe place to be. But, so me and a guy who I will identify as McNeasy, a really good friend of mine, brother in arms. And for whatever reason, we're there filling up sandbags one day. And we're out there, kind of on our site was like a secured site within the secured site. So you needed like a special area badge just to get into where we were. And like all the stars lined up for this moment. We had a PA system where we played music over the PA system. And somebody's playing like, I guess, the Vietnam Mega Mix. And there it is, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Reflections. If you're not familiar with the song, look up the song. And just as that song's playing, a 3-ship of Blackhawks is coming back from whatever mission outside the wire. And so there we are, filling up sandbags, ABU tops off, all dirty, helicopters coming back from across the wire with Diana Ross and the Supremes playing. And we look at each other, and McNeasy looks at me and he goes, is this actually happening? Like, are we in a Vietnam flashback right now? And I'm like, yeah. And we start talking about it. We talk about insurgents. We talk about Vietnam and the desert, not the same. And all of a sudden we look at each other, like we stop talking. And we look at each other. We're both huge Star Wars fans, like geeks, nerds. Like,
Okay.
what?
Star Wars 2?
Star Wars 2, yeah. There's no earthly reason that we know the things about Star Wars that we know is besides we have no life and we're Star Wars nerds. We come to the realization that we're not the good guys. We are not the heroic rebels. We're the damn stormtroopers. We are the Empire occupying Tatooine. And that the insurgent... Yes, stormtroopers. And that the insurgents are... I mean, in this particular situation, in this scenario right here, we are the Empire. And they are the rebels. And it hurt. It broke our hearts. We were like, oh my God. Dude, and he looked at me and he said, you realize we're the stormtroopers. And I was like, I was just thinking the same thing. We are, yeah, I know, Daddy was a stormtrooper. Like, we are not the good guy. Like, from their point of view, if you look at the situation. You're a stormtrooper too?
Yeah.
Ethan's a stormtrooper too. But like, from that point of view, we are not the storm. We were the Galactic Empire. Like, if you look at the scenario, the situation. So, listen, man, Empire's just doing what it's got to do, maintain peace and order in the galaxy. I mean, those stormtroopers, they're just grunts doing what they're paid to do. I mean, back off. One man's rebel is another man's terrorist. So there's the answer to that question. Another good one. Hey Doc, who is the worst douche canoe that you have ever gotten? Like, who was the most aggressive, threatening, or the worst at spelling? So, Oh man, that's a hard question. There's so many good douche canoes. I think if I was to think of the worst douche canoe, I don't remember names. I mean, look, like, the truth is douche canoes come and go, and I could give a shit about douche canoes. But there was one dude who, he claimed he was like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or something like that. And he was saying he was analyzing me, but you know how like people that say they're psychics are really just, they do cold reading party tricks? This dude was just using like the equivalent of cold reading psychology, and he was getting everything like wrong, just wrong. Like he was trying to sound so official, and I forgot what the original thing was even about. But the guy was just like such a mega douche, like to pretend that he had any knowledge like that. I mean, and the stuff he was saying, like if he generally was a psychologically trained person, like a mental health professional, then he actually was the biggest douche canoe in the entire universe, because the stuff he was saying was just so out there. Like he was just such an asshole. But it was, I believe, a battle box video. If I can remember, check the video description. If I can remember which video it is, I'll put a link. I think he might have, he ended up deleting his main comment, and so that deletes the entire thread. And so I don't know. But check the video description. If I can find it, it'll be in there. If I can't, then it's just know he was a big douche canoe. Here's an interesting one. What was the first rifle you ever owned? First rifle I ever owned was given to me by my father. It was a South Korean, a Daewoo K2, I think it was an A1 or an A2, which is basically like, what the South Korean military uses. Very similar to 5.56. Here's a pic. I'll find a picture. I'll put it in. So 5.56. The big difference between internal parts, almost all identical to an M16 or an AR-15. The difference is it's got such a tiny recoil spring, the recoil assembly, huge kick, as opposed to anybody that's fired an AR-15 knows, man, this thing is nothing. Because it's got that giant buffer tube assembly and a huge spring, and it absorbs all the recoil. The K2 has none of that, and man, it kicks like a mule. It's also a lot heavier. Where the AR-15 has a lot of aluminum and plastic, K2 is all stamped steel. So, great rifle though. Very, very accurate, very heavy barrel. Really like it. When I moved away, it stayed in Florida. I'm not sure what happened to it at that point. But folding stock, for airborne operations and urban whatever. Really nice rifle. It was pretty cool. But you could use M16, AR-15 magazines. Like I said, internal, bolt assembly and everything, identical to the M16 and everything. Okay. Here we go, next one. What is the craziest thing you have experienced in or outside of the military? Dude, I can't even answer that, man. It's like, that is, it all depends on how we define crazy. It really does. Working on the ambulance a long time ago on Long Island, we responded to a EDP, emotionally disturbed person, during finals time at a college in Long Island. We showed up to a young woman who was completely naked, who I'm still convinced she was on some kind of drug, speed or something, but I don't know. But she was a vegan, and I got to learn the entire history of I think it's the White Star Veggie Burger, as I chased her around her dorm room trying to put a blanket on her. She really needed to be naked at that time. I mean, that's pretty crazy. What else? Military, how do we define crazy? You want to talk about some crazy stuff? If you look up a little thing called the Battle of Cop Keating, I took part in that back in 2009. From an action standpoint, that was crazy. I was not on the ground for it. I was the guy who coordinated all of the air support. Now, there was an Army dude on the ground talking to him. There was a F-15 call sign Dude 52 who was doing it was a chain of events. So like I was putting guys overhead, and I was doing all the coordination of the the overhead, and then Dude 5-2 was bringing guys out of the stack and sending them down, and then the actual Army guy on the ground was calling in the specific stripes. I mean, it was crazy. Look it up, Cop Keating. I mean, that was crazy. 2 Medal of Honors came out of that. I was in Iraq the day they hung Saddam Hussein in 2006, and they didn't give us any warning whatsoever, and all of a sudden there's just like mortars flying in and celebratory fire going up in the air and bullets coming down, everywhere. And I mean, that was crazy. There was Y2K in New York City, with everybody thinking things were gonna blow up in the end of the world. That was crazy. I mean, I was there in 9/11. I'm an old dude. I was in an Army Reserve unit then, and like we were in New York, man. We were there, like on site. That was crazy. I don't know how to answer that question. There's been a lot of craziness in my life. I surround myself with craziness. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know what the parameters of crazy means. My ex-wife is a crazy bitch. That might be the craziest, if I have to say. Yeah. So I don't know. There's been a lot of crazy in my life. It's a good question. I just don't know how to answer it. Okay, this is actually the last question. I thought there was the last one, but this is kind of a long one, but I think it's a good question. So bear with me as I read through it, okay? Hey Doc, I'm a youth pastor and my wife is a school counselor. In the course of our jobs, we both find ourselves working with kids who either know or feel the military is their calling after high school. Good on them. I think any service in any branch is an honor. That said, I've had a number of friends in the military, and those who served in the Air Force loved it. It also seems like when they're discharged, they have the most civilian applicable job skills and best opportunities waiting for them after their service. In your opinion and experience, is this true? By the way, are you liking your new job, and what, if you can say, are you doing specifically? Thanks for your time. Let's go section by section. I think any service has the great potential to train somebody directly for a civilian after-service job. You've got to encourage those kids to do the research, though, because there are also a lot of jobs that have no civilian equivalent. Now, of course, jobs that have a lot of direct frontline combat service, like the Army and Marines, they have proportionately more jobs that don't have a civilian equivalent. IBM does not need infantry to fight against HP, for example. The Air Force does have a lot of very technical jobs that has outside equivalents. That's true. But it also does have jobs that do not. And the thing is, I've said this before, recruiters have very specific job descriptions that make every job sound awesome, like it's the most important job in the world and it has a $100,000 a year job waiting on the outside. My job, for example, and I'll give you this one that you can look into, the AFSC, the kind of code that they use, is when I got out, my whole AFSC was a Tango 1 Charlie 571 Delta. Okay. That sounds fancy. I was a weapons school graduate, advanced instructor, weapons director. There is no civilian equivalent for most of my career field. Like, there are some things you can do if you want to work in the defense contractor industry, but there is no civilian equivalent for what we do. Everything that we do in my career field is dedicated towards combat airspace management, combat asset management, directing airstrikes, directing fighters against intercepts, against enemy aircraft, knowing about weapons and fighters and mission planning. It just doesn't work. Now, there are some jobs, for example, you get a jet engine mechanic, which it doesn't have, I don't know how to say this the right way, it doesn't sound as cool, right? Like, what do you do? I'm an expert at air combat and weapon systems, blah, blah, blah. That sounds awesome. What do you do? I fix jet engines. Well, guess what? Mr. Fixes jet engines gets out of the Air Force on a Tuesday and starts a job with Boeing on Wednesday, making $80,000 a year. Mr. I'm an expert at air combat tactics and weapon systems gets out of the Air Force on Tuesday, and if there is not a defense industry contractor job waiting for them, well, they can, maybe apply some of their military professional management skills somewhere else, or they can find something that has nothing to do with their job whatsoever if they can find it. So it's you really need to encourage the kids to not be spoon-fed what the recruiters tell them. Because if you look at what the recruiters sell people on for my job, it's all about electronics and electronic warfare and blah blah blah. It really, some of it is. There's different slices, there's different shred outs of the career field that go in different directions. And a few of them do have very marketable skills outside, but some of them don't. Some of them have none. So they've got to do some research and figure out on their own, not just by what the recruiter tells them, but and here's the thing, when you go to a recruiting office, you do not have to sign a piece of paper right away. You take what the recruiter gives you and you say, hey, thanks, I'll contact you in like a week. I want to do some research on my own. No matter what a recruiter says, you do not lose the opportunity to join the military because you don't sign a piece of paper with them right away. You don't. They pressure you because they have a quota. You can go and do all that stuff and get a bunch of information, go home and Google the crap out of everything, and then call them back and say, okay, I'm ready to make a decision now. So computer-related skills, sure, direct outside. Any mechanic job, sure, direct skills outside. Now, some of them might be an offshoot. If you work on electronic warfare radar jamming pods, you're probably not going to find that. But the electrical skills, electronics and electrical engineering stuff, you can find that on the outside. Security forces, military police, sure. Police, law enforcement work. There is work for, though, if you become a non-commissioned officer, a sergeant, there are a lot of places that will take that personnel management experience, and sometimes they say, we want you to have a bachelor's degree, or we want you to have a minimum of this amount of time, in the management field, and they'll take that military experience and they'll say, well, you don't have these requirements, but you have actual real-time managing people and resources and stuff. So, it all, you got to do the research. So the Air Force does have a lot of very technical career fields, but you still should encourage people to do the grunt work to figure out what are you signing up for specifically, and how does that translate to the outside world. Because the Army does, Marines and Navy have a lot of these direct translations also. You just got to look for it as a combat medic. Get your National Registry EMT. The day you get out of the military, you can get a job on an ambulance or in an emergency room anywhere in the country. Sure. But there are some jobs, like if you're an artillery forward observer, probably not going to find a lot of civilian companies that want you to be able to call in artillery strikes on neighboring corporations. You gotta look for them. So the answer to the question is yes and no. I would say if you're advising kids on picking a military service, it really all has to do with figuring out what they're really interested in doing, and then matching that with a service that provides the training for that job for them to serve, and then find the add-on for it down the line. Now, so Q&A is done. Here's the part that I know a lot of you are waiting for. Update on the giveaway contest. So I have been fielding questions, onesies and twosies, and I've actually put out videos. If you've watched my, Happy Chris Mahana Kwanzaa video, I put this information out. I've said it a few different places. I'm going to say it again here. So the contest is closed. I am right now kind of collating and sorting and data entry all of the different entries into different sections to see where it is. I am really hoping I'll have it all done by the end of this week so that I can start selecting winners Friday or Saturday and getting that announcement video up. It's a daunting task. Let me show you. I did a screen capture. Let me show you kind of what I'm working with so you understand the process that's going on here.
All right, so what you're seeing here is the Word document I made. These are all of the entries. Originally, this was 140-something pages of different entries, and I've whittled it down. Now I'm down to about, 56 pages here. So I'm making a lot of progress, and I delete them as I transfer them over to the spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet I made. This has all 60 items. This first column are all of the entries for the grand prize. Pay no attention to, if you see in this video here, some of these are hyperlinks. It's from copying and pasting. See, it doesn't lead anywhere, so don't think that means anything special. But I have every single item here that everybody has entered to win, all 60 of them. I have got to put everybody's entry into this spreadsheet, and, it's a pain. It is a real pain, and it takes forever. And I've got to fit doing this around everything else that I'm doing. So.
When the contest ended, what I did was I disabled comments on the video so no one else could jump in there, because that's not fair to all you guys that actually obeyed the rules of the contest and got your entries in on time. I listed every comment. I copied and pasted all of them into a Word document. And I had like 140 or 150 pages of comments. And what I've been doing is comment by comment, you saw I'm down to like 56 pages now. I've been putting all the names where they go. Data entry sucks. It sucks. It is not something I can sit and do in one shot. So what's going to happen is at the end of the week, I get it all sorted out. I will then do a video to draw winners and make the announcement. I figured out that what I'm going to do, because last time we did a giveaway, we actually had people emailing me. Normally I'm like, hey, winners, email me. We had people lying, saying they were the winners and trying to steal other people's prizes. I figured out a good way so that nobody can do that. Winners are going to have to message me from their YouTube names on YouTube. And in the winner announcement video, if you don't know how to do that, I've got another screen capture of exactly how to send a YouTube message. So that way, there's no doubt that you are the winner. You are sending me a message. I know you're the winner. That way, I know some people are going to be like, why can't you message me? Because actually, I can't message some people. Some people don't have the settings set up, but everybody can message me because I have a public channel. So, and I'll walk you through that. So we'll get all the winners announced, and we'll work that all out at the end of the week. And, we'll figure out who's getting what. There's a lot of people entered, and I'm glad there's a lot of people entered, and we'll do the best we can. And there might be a couple surprise pop-up things being given away, maybe not, we'll see. In any case, there will be more videos uploaded before we do the winners. Nobody's been picked yet, so you don't have to worry about you missed anything. There will be an announcement video. You don't have to worry about that, okay? All right, guys, well, I will do my 3 standard plugs. So, Patreon team lets me do, like, if you guys can and want to support this channel on Patreon, I'm about to do another prize drawing just for the Patreon Only Awesome Canoes Here level Patreon supporters. They get giveaways just for them. And there's a lot of other stuff that Patreon guys get. Please check out, just look at the video description, check out my Patreon page, see if you A, want to, and B, can take part in that, and participate and see what all is involved in there. The Patreon guys, for example, in this giveaway, they all get extra entries to enter for more stuff, just because they take an active role in supporting the channel. So check out that in the video description. More Q&A questions. We've got another Q&A video coming up in February, so check the video description for the Q&A question email where you send those questions to. You guys have seen, and I always say I will answer any question you send me, even if you call me a duck-in liar. And then, finally, if there's anything you want to see, we just did a viewer request for the MREs. I try to work the viewer requests in as often as I can. A lot of the viewer requests involve me getting new stuff, so I do that as often as I can. But if you have suggestions or requests for what you want to see on the channel, check the video description because there's an email for that too. Okay? But anyway, I appreciate you guys. You guys are all awesome. Lots of new stuff coming up in the new year. Thanks for sticking with me through all of 2017. It was a great year for me, for the family, for the channel. Hopefully 2018 will be even better. Lots of new stuff coming out. Lots of stuff to give away to you guys. Hopefully the channel will keep growing, and we'll all have fun together. Cool. All right, I appreciate you guys. You guys are all awesome, and I'll be back in real soon.